casi todos los hacinaban
Please help us out.
en los campos,
So did you went?
Give us something to eat.
She had cookies.
Have a piece of papaya. It's very good. She says it's very good.
If you get her to eat papaya, I leave her here with you.
I don't like fruit.
No?
She's
No.
weird. Thank you.
No, she doesn't
No,
like.
Alberto tampoco.
You don't like papaya?
No fruits.
No fruit?
No.
So eat cookies.
It's a butter cookie.
That she will eat.
All right.
Cookies.
And was she drinking water?
Yeah.
Have some more water.
Sírvele ahí, Fabi. She can help you.
Cheap dates.
Very cheap. Yes.
Okay, so did you went to the ghetto first? Did you move to the ghetto first?
Of course.
And you were how many brothers or sisters?
When the Germans came in September 1st, we were living in Pabianice. So right away, very, very shortly, we moved to the ghetto. So the ghetto was on two parts, like, you know, from here and across the park, and there were guards because they, you know, this was part of the ghetto. So, but still, you could not move freely. So they had first Jewish guards, and then they have German guards, of course. So my uncle lived on the other side because he had his building, his house, happened to be in the ghetto, so he didn't have to move.
Of course.
You understand?
Yes, yes.
But we had to move to a different section of the ghetto, and it's, you know, we were there and we went to visit, and that section of the ghetto was bombarded by the Germans, you know,
really?
during the war. All the cracks, you could still see all the cracks there and all that. So in the worst part of the section. But we were there, and after that, not too long after, they closed that ghetto and they started moving all the people to the Lodge ghetto.
Hicieron
Yes,
un
uno-
ghetto en Pabianice pequeño.
Primero.
Después de-
Okay.
So in fact, I was reading today, you know, it's in Polish, but all about Auschwitz, because all this thing with the Holocaust now,
Yeah.
you know. And I tell you the truth, some of the things when I read, I just don't believe it myself. I was there, I don't believe it. I was just talking to my sons about it. I was there. How the hell could that happen? You know? So we were in the Lodge ghetto.
You were with your mother?
My mother, only because they selected already the children and the old people. We didn't know where they went to, but we knew later on.
So your grandparents left before?
My grandfather died
Okay.
the year of the war.
Okay.
And in a way, we were saying, thank God that he didn't have to go through it.
Of course. Yes.
He died just before Passover,
Okay.
you know. But my grandmother was taken away immediately, but I was still with my mother and some uncles because they worked in the ghetto, you know, they needed cheap labor. That's why when they thought about Schindler's List, who was in Yad Vashem, it didn't start out to be that at all.
Yeah.
It came out from cheap labor. All right, but it worked out. But the intent was not there.
Yes.
No.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, what else you want to know?
Did you used to go to a Hebrew school before that? School.
What school,
What school did you
to?
go?
What school? Where did you go to school?
When I go to school, public
Before,
school,
a public school.
and Bas Yaakov, religious
Beis
school.
Yaakov es
Wow.
una yeshiva para
Okay.
niñas.
So you have a lot of Poland friends, non-Jewish, right? Before the war. You have friends from your neighborhood or non-Jewish? Or
All Jewish.
all Jewish?
All Jewish. Although where we lived was actually some mixed, you know, because we in the business section. But most of it was Jewish.
Okay.
And of course, Bas Yaakov, you know,
¿Tú puedes preguntar?
so my Jewish friends.
¿Por qué no? Dime. Dime a mí, yo pregunto.
Mira que te conté su historia.
Eso es lo que está haciendo.
Poco a poco.
Poco a poco, déjate más.
But I did
¿Qué
go
quieres
to
saber?
public school. Yes.
Yeah, but you went to yeshiva for girls.
Yes, from Bais
Bais
Yaakov.
Yaakov.
Bais Yaakov, sure. After school, came home, ate lunch, went to Bais Yaakov.
Yes.
Friday night, we
Yes.
went to pray in the Bais Yaakov, you know, and all that
And
stuff.
did you have brothers or sisters
No,
with you?
I was the only one.
Oh, you were the only child?
Yes.
Okay, what about your dad? Your dad?
Your father.
Your father?
Your father.
Your father,
My father?
yeah.
Jewish.
And he went also to the ghetto with you?
No. I went to Bais Yaakov myself. This was all in the neighborhood and all that. They went to pray in the synagogue.
Okay, but when you moved to the ghetto,
To the ghetto.
did
My
he?
father was not there anymore because my father was in the jewelry business and he traveled all over the world. And I believe that the last thing where he was in Argentina.
Oh, when you and your mom was in the ghetto,
But my mom was in the ghetto. But I wrote after the war when I went to Hayas, you know what Hayas is,
Yes.
right? To find people. They did give me, to write to the committee, and I did write. I never heard anything back.
You didn't know.
No.
Okay, and then you lived in the ghetto, and then you will transport to the concentration camps?
Yeah. I was about the last transport to Auschwitz. In fact, I was just reading this now in Polish.
Do you remember what year was that? What year?
Yes, and it was in September 1944.
So you
I
left.
think it was September, I don't remember if it was 5th but right at the beginning of September. I was the last transport
one of the
from
last-
the Lodge
yes.
ghetto.
Wow, the last one because they started in 1939.
Right,
Y
yeah.
hasta el 44, no
Well,
sabía
the
que el
war
ghetto duró hasta el
started in
44.
1939, September
So you were
1st.
one of the last ones in the ghetto also. It was almost
The
empty.
last ones from the Lodge ghetto.
You were the last ones.
Yeah, but my mother was already dead and she died in the ghetto.
She died in the ghetto.
And I tell you something that this, I sit here, not because I watch, but I sit here, that's my place. So I watch everything that's going on, whether I like it or I don't. I'm sitting here, okay. Now every time a truck goes by with cement over here, the big trucks, I see my mother. And why? When she finally died in the Lodge ghetto, and they didn't have a gula, to go transport. So what they did, they took these trucks, but not with oil or anything, but with canalization. You know what canalization is?
La basura de la calle. Sí,
Recogía.
It's waste, human waste. And on top, one on top of the other. So when I see these guys going back and forth, I see it every time.
Que su mamá murió en el ghetto, cuando estaba en el ghetto, y se la llevaron en un camión como que
En
fuera
un
basura.
camión de basura se la tiraron así. Así fue como la descartaron.
Así es, ella murió. So you were all alone in the ghetto? You were alone?
Well,
With
after
the-
my mother died, yes. But not too long, because then went Auschwitz.
But you were with your cousin, remember? You told me about your cousin.
Yes.
Your
yes.
cousin was with you.
My aunt.
Ah, your aunt.
She's still here. You could look at up here.
Ellos construían todos los guetos cerca de las estaciones de tren, convenientemente.
Sí, claro.
Está
Eso
todo
lo-
planeado.
sí, para
Porque era
poder
mucho
trasladar.
más cómodo.
El traslado.
El
Lo que
traslado.
quiere decir que ya sabían que iban a hacerlo el traslado desde el principio.
Sí, pero no sabía a dónde ni para qué. Mucho.
No, pero los alemanes sabían que iban a haber un
claro,
traslado
los
desde el
judíos no,
principio.
pero los judíos no sabían a dónde iban.
Yeah.
What was your mother's name? Your mother's name?
Miriam.
Miriam.
You see where it's all marked off here?
Mhm.
That was me and my aunt.
Esa es la lista del campo de concentración.
Esto hay archivos de todo esto.
Fisher.
Yes.
Fisher.
Because you now, your last name is married, and you were Fisher.
Krauss is a married name, and Fisher is the maiden
married
name.
name was Krauss.
Krauss.
Krauss, actually, German.
Okay.
Krauss is German.
Huh?
Krauss is German.
Yes, but they were in Poland, probably ancestors,
Exactly.
you know.
Right.
Check.
Jewish records. No, ahorita.
Eat.
Ella nos marcó. Sí, sí, no te regaño. So you went from Lodz to Auschwitz.
Yes. hmm I didn't go. They took me.
I know. I know. Is it true? I heard that sometimes they did the Jewish to pay for their train tickets. Do you remember if you have to pay for your ticket to the train?
What
No.
ticket?
Not
No.
anymore. In the 44, no.
In the 44, no, because I heard that.
They made you pay.
They made you pay for the ticket. Can you believe that?
But it was a cattle car. It was a car for.
Of course.
a
And
cattle
it
car.
was only one way, not
It's a
coming
one-way
back.
ticket.
It's a one-way ticket.
You mean to say that after all these years, you people don't know anything about it?
Yes.
She's asking questions because
No, I'm
she just
saying,
came
you
about.
do know. I met many people here who know nothing about
That's
it.
why I want to.
You
That's
know?
why, yes. Kids don't know what happened.
No,
They don't know what happened.
no, they don't know.
My grandfather, he also went to. He was a survivor.
Where is he from?
He was from Vienna, Austria.
Austria.
Yes.
Vienna.
He was, yes, Vienna. And he lost his mom and his sister and brother over there, and he lived all the war over there, surviving from one place to another. And then when the war was over, he moved to Colombia.
Oh,
And then he met my grandmother in Colombia.
uh-huh.
And my grandmother, she's German, and she also survived, but she
German Jew?
yeah.
Okay.
But my grandmother, she went out from Germany before, just when the war started. They
They
had
went to Colombia.
to Colombia. But my
Smart
yeah.
people.
Well, yeah. Do your mom ever wanted to leave before the war? Did your mom wanted to leave Poland? Never?
No, why would we want to leave? I tell you, when they talk about anti-Semitism, myself, my family, I never experienced any anti-Semitism personally. Of course there was, yes. But, and in fact, you know, we were in business, we were in the garment business, men, women, and children. All our customers were Poles. And after each transaction of the business, there was a bottle of vodka and cake and this, and that was it.
So at the beginning you weren't afraid?
No.
You didn't?
I went to public school. My principal was Polish.
And no one ever tell you you're
No.
different?
Personally, no. No.
So you went into the ghetto because you thought nothing was going...
I'm telling you, we had, you know, the building that we were in was 10, 12, and 14, very big, and it was owned by Volksdeutsch, you know, not, they were born in Poland, but they were Deutsch.
Deutsch.
And his name was Budzinski. I never knew anything, except for one night, which I remember, there was a blacksmith. I told you that, I think. The blacksmith had a workplace. He was making cuffs for the horses. And one time, like 12 o'clock at midnight, we heard Żydzi do Palestiny. Jews go to Palestine. But never during the day, he was the nicest, the best, nothing. But we heard it. Maybe once or twice, that's it.
But then in the ghetto, there were no food, in the ghetto, no food, right?
Of course not.
So you had to work. They went to work every day. You went to work every day.
Did
had
you
to
work in the ghetto? Yes.
The factories.
We had to work. but we were still underage. You know, I was reading this today with Rumkowski. Have you heard of Rumkowski in the Lodge Ghetto? You heard. You know, he originally, he was never married. You know, he got married in the ghetto.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
he was married.
never married, but he was in charge of
Work, no, the work details. The
No, he
organize-
was the president of the ghetto. He was the
before
one
the war,
who had the
he-
contact
he-
with the
he was-
Germans and report
The Jewish.
everything that. Yes, yes.
he was in charge of orphanages.
orphanages.
So, you know, his heart was for younger children. So even in the ghetto, we only worked like a half a day. In the Lodge ghetto, the children. But the other half a day, I stood in line to collect what we needed on the rations. I remember when we got wood, not just wood, but wood like you take apart a house, you know, big, some small, some big. By the time being that I only worked a half a day, I was the one to go for all the rations, you know, for food. Because after that, there was lines and lines and lines. You came to the line, they ran out of it. What are you going to do? Nothing. But I went for the wood, and I remember, you know, it was pieces. One was big, one was... By the time I got home, half of it was lost.
Because you couldn't get, yeah.
Couldn't do nothing about it.
Dale, ¿qué pasó cuando llegó?
It's amazing. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, how the hell did I really survive?
It's amazing, amazing.
It is, but I happen to be reading, you know, today because of Auschwitz.
Contale qué pasó cuando llegó al campo.
It happens to be the deportation of Jews from the Lodz ghetto to Auschwitz.
Who wrote this? Is a
No,
Polish
a
A
person?
Polish man, Andrzej Strzelecki.
No,
Yeah.
but you remember you lent me a book about the Lodz ghetto. You remember a big book
It's still here.
over there. It gives you all the details of what happened every day, and he had to report to the Nazis how many pounds of potatoes, how many this, how many that, and he had to compromise. Sometimes he had to give up children in order for them to get food or to get, and he had to make a list of who was going to be taken. That was his job.
Sí, eso es lo que hacían. Psicológicamente. Una
To destroy
tortura.
you, but he had to keep the community alive. So he had to sacrifice people in order for him to get, you know, relative peace. Era una cosa que
Al final se suicidó, ¿no? ¿O no fue?
no,
Ese
no.
fue- no, ese fue
That's
el
the
de...
book.
Fue el de...
Yeah, that's the
el de
one.
Zinc, ¿no?
Yeah.
No, el de...
Míralo. This book was lent to me before, the same book by Mr. Misha Newhouse.
Oh,
He was living here and he was in Lodge.
oh yeah?
Yeah, Misha. And he gave me this book about 20 years ago.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
yes, I read, and then you gave it back to me, and I didn't read it all because you cannot read the whole thing. It's a diary. It's day by day, every account.
Wow.
Friday, April 4, 1941. Saturday, April 5, 1941.
So you work for food. No, no le daban food.
Sí,
They-
para
bueno.
los
They
rations.
gave them the minimum required food, the minimum calories, maybe
No, o sea, they
300,
gave them the tickets
400 calories a
to
day.
stand in line to get the
to
food.
get the food.
You need
yeah.
2,000 calories a day to survive, and they gave them 300, 400
For
calories
each
a day.
You know, it doesn't say in this book, but I'm telling you, when somebody died, people kept these people for a few days in order to still get their rations, not report that they're dead.
Oh my God.
It is amazing.
It is.
You know, it's also amazing when I sit here and I'm saying to myself, it's so inhuman. We were talking today with my sons because of Auschwitz, you know, this
Yes.
whole big deal with Auschwitz.
The liberation that they
Yeah,
just-
where were they before? Right, anyway. My point is, you know, when people come to the point that they have their dead people, their parents, or I hate to bother them with that, but maybe it's time you should learn
Yeah,
something.
they need to
You
know.
know, that you don't learn in school. First-hand information.
It's okay.
And you keep these people, dead people, in order to still get a piece of bread. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
Unbelievable. And you know, my sons asked me the other day or today, because we constantly talk about because of this Auschwitz thing. Otherwise, I be honest with you, I choose not to talk about it anymore. I was hurt enough. And each time you talk, it comes all back to you like it was yesterday. Do you understand?
Yes.
But I'm just saying the dignity, there's no dignity at all. That I mean, if you're already dead, you have to go on a cement truck to be buried. My mother is not buried in her own grave. It's a whole grave with people.
I know.
I mean,
They weren't treated as human. They weren't treated as human.
no,
No.
of course not.
No, it's unbelievable.
And you know, when my son says to me the other day, he says, you know what Hitler said, Mom? I said, what did he say? The fittest will survive.
The what?
The
The
fittest,
fittest.
the ones who are
Yeah.
the fittest.
Yeah.
I said, no, the
They
most
teach that
hopeful
to us.
will survive,
Yes.
you know? And so you say to yourself, I just wrote about that. Okay, if you want, I'll read it to you. Because when these, you know, I write all the time, so
¿Qué fecha dijo ella que ella salió?
En
Febrero.
septiembre del 44.
I don't know if it's this one.
Did you wrote that? Right.
Aquí no es de ese video.
Lo voy a guardar.
Pero esto acaba el 30 de julio.
¿Eso de quién es? Pero debe haber más
Del
fotos.
gueto de Lodge.
Es el gueto donde ella estaba.
El
Mira lo que sacaron.
No.
I don't know where it is.
Esa que va a sonar.
Sí.
Igual she doesn't have the number. No tiene el número, ¿no?
Para esa época, en julio, había 68,000 personas.
Ella era una niña, y ella,
Ah,
ella
sí.
llegó tarde también, llegó
En el
ya en el
44.
44, entonces ya, pero pregúntales, para que les explique.
Sí. Thank you. I don't know where it is.
It's okay.
I don't know where I have it now.
It's okay. Did you write something about what? Your story?
I always, sure, you could write whatever you want.
No, what are you looking for?
I'm looking what I wrote the last thing. I don't know. I think I read that for the Holocaust thing. Always when I look for something, I don't find it.
It's okay. When you find it, you give it to us.
That's okay. Oh, okay. This is the last one. Isaac.
Isaac.
What?
That was about the seventh candle.
We did it last year, remember?
You do it this year too.
It's in automatic pilot. You don't have to tell me anymore. It's
Okay.
seven
So
candles.
I'll read it to you.
Why do you want to light up 7 candles?
Okay, so I'll read
I want to
to
hear
you.
it from you. It's a legend.
Okay. I am privileged and honored to light the 7th candle. It has been on my mind for a long time, and I'm hoping to bring us precisely a little light to the subject. We as Jews suffer tremendously, and because we understand suffering, therefore it is my duty to also let the world know that other people too went through the Holocaust. There were gypsies, gay people, mentally ill, different nationalities, Polish people, German people who also and not agree with Hitler, they too were exterminated. Nobody even remembers that those people existed. So here I am, a Holocaust survivor and a witness to the horror, and I like finally to acknowledge those forgotten people and to quote my late husband Joseph, who was also a Holocaust survivor, if I could bring a little peace to the world, I will live happy. So this 7th candle is for humanity. That's it.
Very nice.
Very nice.
You're very talented.
Okay, and I want to thank my sons, Stephen and Aharon, to encourage me with the idea, and also all my friends to support me in the pursuit of this endeavor. Okay,
Very nice.
Sería muy lindo.
okay.
Okay. So, can we know